Joining me is our Tuesday regular commentator, Nationals MP, Matt Canavan, the former Resources Minister. Matt, great to see you. Can you explain what's going on? The government wanted to slash emissions, driving up power prices, then paying big emitting smelters to stay open.
Well, it's actually worse than that, Andrew, because we actually tax most of these smelters and refineries as well. So the government has a carbon tax in place. They call it, the Orwellian term, the safeguard mechanism, which applies to over 200 of Australia's so-called biggest polluters. Almost all of our smelters and refineries are in that list because they're very energy intensive. And therefore they do this evil thing like create jobs and also create carbon emissions. And so because they're over that threshold, they're under law required to reduce their emissions to net zero by 2050. It's about 4.9% a year they have to do so. And to do that, they have to go buy carbon credits or spend other money to reduce emissions. That's effectively a tax. It's a burden placed on them. And that's, of course, making it harder for them to compete against this Chinese competition. I'm glad you mentioned it because, as you say, the government doesn't mention it. I don't think Anthony Albanese mentioned it on his 6-day trip to China. He didn't mention that his own resources minister, by the way, she did mention China. I'll give her credit. Madeleine King did say that it was actually the actions of China which led to the nickel industry going out the back door last year, the predatory tactics that they have in these markets. It's now putting pressure on copper, on lead, on zinc, on lithium, on lots of different industries now under the gun because of those actions. The problem is China's got a specific strategy here, Andrew, clearly to monopolise the production of key industrial commodities. Good luck to them. But we are so stupid that then we handicap our industries in that race. So I do support the assistance provided today. I wish we didn't have to provide so much, but we have to try and keep these facilities open for our own national defence. But we are putting a lead in our own saddlebags by pushing up the price of energy unnecessarily, by placing carbon tax burdens on these industries that their Chinese competitors don't have. So it's going to make it much harder for us to win this race, and it is a race. We're basically trying to determine which country can keep subsidising their industries the longest.
Yeah, I think China's actually deliberately and cynically pushing the global warming thing too, because they're not obliged to cut their emissions. They say they're so poor they've got to be allowed to keep growing their emissions. They're adding coal-fired stations every single week. We're buying it, we're deindustrialising, and they're taking our business. I mean, the whole thing's such a con. It's so obvious, yet our government seems to be a sitting duck for it. I mean, this government also been telling lies about the whole net zero thing, Matt Canavan. They've been talking about the world phasing out fossil fuels when the latest data actually shows that it's not happening, that the world last year used even more energy than ever, 2% more, and that there were all-time records in the use of every form of energy: record coal, record oil, record gas, record renewables, record hydro and nuclear. Renewables aren't replacing fossil fuels, they're just adding to them. What's that telling you?
Well, it's telling me that we should do the same, that we perhaps should use all our energy resources because we're in the lucky position that God has blessed us with almost every energy source known to man. And so why don't we just use them all like other countries, like China are, to provide jobs and lower energy prices, lower cost of living for all Australians? That to me seems logical. I mean, it seems logical that if we're going to export our coal to China, which we do, and help them compete with us, we shouldn't deny the use of that same product to ourselves. That's more lead in the saddlebags of our industry, of our jobs, by denying them use of that resource that we give, or we sell at least, to our competitor. I mean, you've got to give the Chinese officials some credit for keeping a straight face in these conversations they have with Western leaders. It must be very, very difficult for them, and presumably they go out in the back room and burst out laughing after the cameras are off, because they do. They sit there and sit through these moral lectures from our own government, and meanwhile, as you say, they're building 2 coal-fired power stations a week. They have no compunction over industrialising their own economy. And since they so-called signed up to net zero, China said they want to do net zero by 2060. Since they did that 3 years ago, China has increased its annual coal mining output by 564 million tonnes a year. Andrew, Australia only mines about 450 million tonnes of coal a year. China's increased its production by more in 3 years than we produce in any 1 year. Shows the absolute absurdity of this net zero agenda and the naivety of our leaders that keep swallowing it and putting at risk Australian jobs by doing so.
Honestly, the great transition to green energy is clearly not happening. The facts don't lie, but our government does. Matt Canavan, thank you so much for your time. I know you've been quite ill, so I really appreciate you crawling in front of a camera and giving us your time. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much.